I hope people realise we might need to make sure people know that there's the lunch.
Oh, they will.
And the friend will come in and shake hands.
Mate, this crowd here is in for the feed. Don't you worry about that.
And just the opportunity to...
Yeah. So where were you based? So you used to be
I'm in
one...
Lonsdale Street. I used to be out in Dandenong.
Used to be 1 MacArthur Street was the old social welfare department building.
Yeah, that's going back. And we've moved around a bit. So.
My social worker, when I was 14, gave me my first joint.
No, that's not helpful.
Yeah, arrived at 1 MacArthur Street. He says, let's go to lunch. Then we sat in his car and he says, have you ever had one of these? And I couldn't believe that. Well, I couldn't believe it now. At the time, I mean, you know. Has it changed much?
We would actually charge them. That would be a police matter, and we'd be charging them, and they would never be working in social work.
My second social worker that I bumped into at the Paran Magistrates Court, I was involved in a traffic accident, and I pulled the bodies out of the car and all the rest of it, and he was there. Barry was his name, and I said, Barry, is that 20 years later? Is that you? And he says, yeah. I said, what are you here for? Oh, importing child pornography. Those were the days, mate. Those were the days. Can you believe that?
Things still go wrong.
Yeah.
But there's more checks and balances and place. But did you have any good ones along the way? Were there any?
No, they're the only two I ever had. Yeah.
No, I'm sorry that.
I was the first ward of the state where I got Burwood Boys Home I went to. They dispatched me into a taxi, said I was uncontrollable, and that's another story, and I'm not uncontrollable. I arrived there without them being advised that I was coming, and I was the first one where they said, we can't place you because you want to stay at school. I said, I want to finish year 12. They didn't have a system, so they said, what about if we give you the money that we would normally apportion to, you know, a boarding house or whatever, can you go look after yourself?
How old were you?
15.
Just a kid?
No, I was streetwise.
Yeah, but you're still just a kid.
Yeah, I know. I've got them. I've got 3 sons, and you know they gave me $29 a week in 1973. That was a fortune, and a purchase order every year for books, uniforms, blank purchase order, 20 pairs of Levi's, 25 Miller shirts, platform. I was the best dressed kid in school, mate. But
did you stay on at school? Did you?
Yeah, I went to uni, mate. I own an island in Tasmania. I've done all right, but the second person that they tried that scheme with, she jumped out in front of a train at Mitcham Railway Station because she bought drugs. The second one, he did something else, so I think they abandoned it after that, but it worked.
Are you living in Tassie? Or?
Yeah, I'm in Tassie. I flew down here just for this.
Good on you. Wow. Where in Tassie are you?
I live on Smooth Island, it's called.
Where's that?
You know, you've heard of Denali. Yeah. When you stand in Denali and you look in the bay, there's a big island. That's mine.
I haven't been to Tassie. It's the family.
I say to people, don't go there. It's too cold. There's nothing to do. Stay here.
I'd like to welcome everyone to today's special sitting. I remind visitors that mobile phones must be on silent and no photography is allowed. Speaker, I table the parliamentary apology to Victorians who experienced historical abuse and neglect as children in institutional care. Please hand the document to the clerk. I invite the Premier to move the motion. Speaker, I move that this Parliament expresses our formal and sincere apology to Victorians who experienced historical abuse and neglect as children in institutional care. In the following terms, today we acknowledge a shameful chapter in our history and the experiences of a group of Victorians who have fought a long time to be heard. From 1928 to 1990, thousands of children were entrusted to the state, religious organisations and charitable agencies. To those children who were abused and neglected during their time in care, we humbly and unreservedly apologise. That you were needlessly separated from your brothers and sisters, sometimes growing up in the same 4 walls, but never being allowed to know each other. For the grief of being removed from your parents, often without explanation, and the years spent fighting to find your family, sometimes in vain. To those who died without getting the respect or recognition they deserved. To the children who lost their lives while in the guardianship of the state, whose voices were silenced forever. And to the families who were broken permanently, we failed you. For this, we are deeply sorry. There are countless ways to harm a child, and all of them leave a mark. We apologise that instead of reading, writing and arithmetic, many instead learnt of floggings, beltings and brutality. That you were often cruelly and purposely punished for the most minor infractions, and far more often for things entirely outside of your control. That too many of the men and women, organisations and institutions entrusted with your care